Hello, everyone. Welcome to STEAM Saturday. I'm Miss Monica with the Glenwood branch of the Howard County Library System. I'm here today with Miss Mary and Miss Christy, who are behind the scenes making this all happen. We are so excited to see you again. STEAM Saturday has been such a fun series to do with you all. This is pre-recorded, so if you need to pause it or stop the video at any time, you can, which is kind of nice, and you can rewatch it too. So STEAM Saturday is our bi-weekly class where we learn about science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And we do some simple, fun projects with those themes. And today, I absolutely love our episode. We are taping this and going to showcase it the first time at the end of February. So today, in honor of Black History Month, I would like to talk about one of my favorite mathematicians, Katherine Johnson. I'll show you a picture of her on this book. And if you don't know Katherine Johnson, I hope you're going to learn a lot today. She was super, super smart, and she helped with our space program and made a lot of calculations and math problems. She studied math her whole life and loved math. And her expertise helped put our astronauts up in space and on the moon. So as a little girl, Katherine Johnson loved to count. Do you like to count? Raise your hand if you like to count. Can you count to 10? Can you count to 20? Can you count to 50? No way. What about 100? I can count to 100. That's really fun. Try it. So Katherine just counted all the time. She counted steps to go to school. She counted stars in the sky when she was outside with her dad at night. She just counted everything. And she was so smart, both in reading and writing and math, that she skipped several grades in school, and she ended up going to college at age 15. So normally when you're 15, you're usually in like 9th or 10th grade of high school, but she was in college at 15. So it's amazing. And Katherine was born in 1918. And at the time when she went to college, girls were really only studying to be nurses and teachers. So she did study to be a math teacher, and she was a math teacher, I believe, in high school for a little bit. But she decided, I don't just want to be a teacher. I want to do other things. I want to work in STEAM related fields. And she wanted to be a mathematician. So she got hired by a special team of women, or with a special team of women, I should say, at the Langley Aeronautical Laboratory in Virginia, which if you're here in Maryland listening, where our libraries are located, it's very close to Virginia. And she joined while she was there. She was really recognized for her math skills and how she could compute very complicated math problems. Remember, that's before we had computers, so she had to use her brain to do those calculations. And she was invited to join a group of men who were working on calculations for the first space flight. And she was really instrumental in solving problems. And you kind of think, well, it's a spaceship and it goes up into space and it comes back down. And where does math relate to that? Well, they had to calculate how long the spaceship was going to go and the distance, and then where it was going to drop down so that they could meet the astronauts in the ocean. And obviously they wanted it dropping down in a safe place. So there was a whole bunch of calculations that were involved with those space flights, and Katherine did them. And she did them really, really well. So well that John Glenn only wanted her calculations. There's stories about how one of the first computers came out and the computer could do the calculations. And John Glenn was like, no, I only want Katherine doing my calculations, because he knew that she calculated it correctly and she would get him back to Earth safely. So that's incredible. I mean, her story is just so interesting. Her calculations behind the scenes helped John Glenn and Neil Armstrong and Alan Shepard, all famous astronauts that we know about. But Katherine's kind of a lesser known figure in the space program. But yet, her problem solving and her math skills were so important for those space missions to happen. So if you haven't studied Katherine Johnson, I really recommend doing so. She was very fascinating, and she really, really paved the way for all women to be in STEAM fields. And she also made us think that there's a lot of people behind the scenes doing really cool stuff. And she really proved that women could do anything, which is awesome. And her work was so renowned that years ago, President Barack Obama awarded Katherine Johnson the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest honor given to any civilian. If you are allowed to look up on the computer, look up that award and President Obama giving that to Katherine Johnson. I believe she was in her 90s when he awarded that, and it's really special to see that, and that she gets honored for her work. So today, because this is a STEAM class and I like to have some fun with you and give you some projects that you can do at home, we're going to do some projects related to space and of course math, because I love both, don't you? Yeah, really cool. So you're really not going to need a lot of supplies. And if you don't have the same color that I'm using on something, or you don't have the particular paper, it's really okay. The only thing you need is you need some sort of pen or marker. Okay, these are just regular markers. You're going to need, this is a gel pen, or if you have a light colored crayon, like a white crayon or a yellow crayon will work too. And then you're just gonna need some construction paper. So just, you can have whatever color you want. For our first activity, I'm gonna use a light blue color. For the second activity, you do wanna use a darker piece, like a black or a royal blue like that, okay? All you need. So our first activity we're going to do, project, is going to be a math activity. So give me a little shout out if you want to do a math activity. Awesome. So our younger listeners, grab a grown-up if you need help, or if you have an older sister or brother, grab them if you need help. Like I said, you can always pause the video too. So we're going to start with writing a number in the middle, and I'm going to choose the number 20, and just go ahead and, like I said, pause it if you need to run and get your markers and your paper. Just write the number 20 in the middle, and you can even decorate this if you would like. I'm going to kind of highlight a little bit with some markings because I just like the number 20 like that. Okay, let me show you. Okay, you can make it as colorful and decorative as you want to, but just leave some space around. So we're going to have a little contest, and we're going to see how many ways you can make 20. So we'll do the first one together. Can you think of a way to make 20? Like if we had 20 of something, how many, if we put them in two different groups to make a math problem or equation, how many would we need of each to make 20? So is anybody thinking of 10 plus 10? Okay, that's an easy one. So you're just going to write that down. 10 plus 10 equals, you got it, 20, just like that. Okay, so when I say ready, set, go, in 1 second, you're going to write as many math problems or equations that equal to 20 as you can. My older listeners, if you know multiplication, go for it. 2 times 10 is 20. I have to think about that for a second. You can do multiplication, you can do division, you can do subtraction, you can do addition, whatever you would like. I'm going to stick to addition just for our younger viewers. But like I said, if you're older, go for it. Do whatever you'd like to make those equations. Okay. Are you ready? Ready, set, go. Keep writing until I say stop. Okay, stop. I know that wasn't a lot of time. When you're at home, you can do it for longer. Challenge somebody in your household to do this. So right now, count how many equations, how many math problems you wrote down. Okay, let's count those. had 10. Did anybody have 10? I'm a grown up. If you only got less, if you got 2 or less than that, it's completely fine. If you got more than 10, kiss your brain. You're good at math, like Katherine Johnson. So let's see. You want to see mine? I would love to see yours. You can hold up yours too. Okay. So it's going to look like that. So this is a great game to do, like I said, with somebody in your household, even challenge an adult. And, you know, or if you have a sister or a brother or a cousin or something, you could challenge them, set a timer, grab the timer from the kitchen, or ask your grown-up if you can use their phone and do the timer function. I always love timing myself on things. It's a good challenge, and see how many equations you can have and do different numbers, like do completely numbers. And I will give you a tip on this. I love to do this for people's birthdays. If somebody I know is turning a certain age, maybe they're turning 30 or they're turning 40 or 45, I just write the number I just fold the piece of paper and I write the number in the middle, and then I do the equations all around in different colors. And it's a really easy and fun way to make a birthday card for somebody. So just a little tip, especially if you can't get to the store right now to get a birthday card, it'd be a fun math way to make a birthday card, which I'm sure Katherine Johnson would approve of with liking math so much. So the next activity, ready for the next one? Okay, I know you guys are still thinking about equations because I am too, and that's great. Keep up with that math. I love math. So the next one we're going to do, I know we're moving a little fast today, but I want to get 2 of these in, and I of course want to show you my books that I have today. So you're going to take that darker piece of paper, black or the royal blue that comes usually in the pack of construction paper, and your light writing utensil, a crayon, or like I said, I have a gel pen. I just happen to have one of these in my craft supplies. And what you're going to do is we're going to make little stars, and we're going to, in honor of Katherine Johnson and loving space and getting those astronauts up to space, we're going to make some constellations. And if you don't know what a constellation is, it's a grouping of stars that forms a picture, like Orion, or the Big Dipper. And when you look up in a dark sky and you see all the stars up there, you can see the shapes of these constellations. Well, you can either look up in a book or look up online, if your grown-up says yes, to look up a picture of a constellation. You can draw that constellation if you would like. But for today, I'm going to be a little artistic, and I'm going to create my own constellations. And I'd like you to do the same. Maybe you would like to make numbers out of stars, or maybe you just got a new puppy and you like puppies and you want to make a little puppy shape out of stars. You decide what you would like to do. It's absolutely fine. And you're just going to start with making teeny, teeny, tiny little stars. If you do not know how to make the traditional star, that's okay. Just do lines. And I'm going to do this one a little bit bigger so you can see it. So you can just do lines like this, okay? But you're just going to do those a lot smaller so that you can make your different shapes, okay? So I'm gonna do one, and then I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm going to do the number 2, and like I said, it's going to form a picture, and it doesn't need to be perfect. And if you only have printer paper at home, just do reverse, get like a darker marker and do your drawings like that, okay? So just like that. See the number 2? Awesome. So you just keep going, whatever you'd like to do. And let's see, I'll show you another one. You can start with simple designs. I'm gonna do a smiley face next. And I'm just doing simple stars like I showed you. I'm not doing traditional stars, and that's okay. Also, if you know how to do a Star of David, you could do that. We learned how to do that on another episode of this. So see the smiley face? So they're just like the constellations that you see in the star. And they're just like when Katherine Johnson looked up as a child and counted stars, she was looking at stars. So do some star pictures like this, and it's lots of fun. I want to show you one that I did last night. This one took a little bit longer, but it was worth the time because it turned out really neat. I did my name with a star. You see that? Let me do it a little closer so you can see. Okay, so make some star pictures and hang them up on your ceiling, maybe above your bed. That would be so fun to look at as you go to sleep. If you have glow in the dark markers and make those, that would be even neater. I don't have those, but if you have them, use them, because that would be super, super cool. Or maybe if your grown up lets you use it, glow in the dark paint and paint on a piece of paper and then hang it up, that'd be really neat. So very cool. Lots of things to do with math and astronomy. So let's talk about the books that I have. So the first book that I have is a picture book, and it's called A Computer Called Katherine, and it's by Suzanne Slade, and it's illustrated by Veronica Miller Jameson. And there is a lot of picture books out about Katherine Johnson, but this one is one of my favorites. The illustrations are beautiful. I'll show you some of them. And it's got a lot of information about Katherine Johnson. There she is in college. But it also in the back has a timeline of her life. And it also has some real pictures. I'm just going to show you so we can see what Katherine Johnson looks like. There she is. Looks like an amazing woman to know and very smart. So, and then like I said, it's got a timeline on the other side. So this is a picture book for some of our younger listeners, but this picture book has a lot of words in it and a lot of information. So I would even recommend it for our older listeners as well. I'm an adult and I really enjoyed this book. It's a great book. Next, I'm just going to really quickly show you this one. If you search Katherine Johnson on our database, you will find lots and lots of books by her. So this is an early reader, if that's the type of books you're reading. The other book that I was so intrigued with, and again, I'm an adult and I read this book from cover to cover because I thought it was just so cool. This is Young, Gifted, and Black. Meet 52 Black heroes from past and present. And the words are by Jamal Wilson, and it's illustrated by Andrea Pippins. And this is a wonderful, wonderful book that just gives you a little sneak peek into these famous, amazing people. And it's got Matthew Henson, for example, who was a famous artist explorer. It has one of my favorite ladies and historic figures, Harriet Tubman. As we know, she led hundreds of slaves to freedom, and she's a fellow Marylander, or was a fellow Marylander. And there's so many different people in here. And I want to show you one of these because I just think the illustrations are amazing. So this is Katherine Johnson right here. And you can see it's got a picture of her and some information. And then the other thing, I always get to the back of the book, because the back of the book always has cool stuff. It's got real life, the photos of the famous people. So just a really neat book. Highly recommend that. There are some other books similar to that. There's Women in Science. That's another great book. I just went on our bookshelf and I found so many books very similar to this. There's one for men, there's some for women, there's some that combined both, like Young, Gifted, and Black, that has both men and women in it. There's just so much on our shelves right now and in our database on these topics, and just so cool. The other thing I wanted to recommend for some of our older readers, I don't know if you've read any of the Who Was or Who Is books, but they are fascinating. And they're really quick reads. This happens to be another famous scientist. What I recommend reading about is George Washington Carver and his work. I wish we had a little more time. We could do another activity with his work, but that's another great person to read about. They do not have a book on Katherine Johnson yet in the Who Was series, but I think I'm going to write to them and recommend that they write one. But there's so many other famous people. We have like a huge amount of these books at the Howard County Library System. But you can see there's always like pictures in here and drawings, and these are chocked full of information. I know my son, when he was in, I believe, 2nd or 3rd grade, discovered these and he could not get enough. And we loved it because he was reading about famous people, and then he was telling us a lot of facts about them. He happened, for example, to read Milton Hershey, and then we visited Hershey Park, and all throughout the park, he was telling us all these facts about Milton Hershey. So really great books, and they'll really stick with you. I read them as an adult too. They're really fun. Younger readers, maybe one of your grownups would like to read one of these with you, but older readers, if you haven't checked these out, check them out. Okay, so that is a lot. I could go on about books on this topic because it's one of my favorite topics, and there's just so many great books. But just ask your grown-up if you can go on our website and reserve some of these books. As you know, we're doing curbside pickup. You can pick them up, your holds, which is great, at the library. Also, while your grown-up is online, make sure that they check out when our next class is. We will do one STEAM Saturday in March, I believe. So make sure that you're signed up for that so that I can see you again. So that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you work on your math and your space, your constellation drawings, because they're lots of fun. And you just have a wonderful day learning about all the STEAM related topics. So thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.